All right. What's up, party people? Johnny the Geek here, and we're about to build a computer today. 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, y'all. If you guys are out spending time doing that stuff today, I'm going to be building my own personal PC. Not sponsored, by the way. Yes, that's right. After months and months and months, I'm finally building my own personal PC. This is sort of the latest and greatest in hardware, but I'm gonna talk about everything that I've got and things I have, things I wish I could have, things that might change, you know, all that stuff. Anywho. So let's get right into the parts then. Anything else do I need to mention about this? I started this accumulating parts. Man, I don't even know how long ago. Maybe even last year? I don't know. Probably not even this year. Anywho. So what I got here is an AMD platform with the Asus TUF Gaming X570 Plus motherboard. And I believe I paid like $180, $190 for this. So X570 platform, you know, hasn't been replaced yet. So this build guide, this is a complete build guide. You'll be able to apply this to B550, whatever, if you have anything older, probably even the next generation of stuff that's going to come out, you'll be able to apply this build guide to. But nonetheless, this is complete everything. You know what? I forgot to post on my social medias that I am live. This is how you know I am an amateur. What? I've been logged out. What? What? Are you kidding me? Huh. Okay. What? Now my green screen is messing up. Oh my gosh. Jesus, you swear. My goodness. All right. Let me do this. Oh wait, I'll do this one. Whoops. I'm live on YouTube. I hope I can edit this later because I need to cut out all of this stuff. Here, let me start recording here. All right, folks, let's start this over. Welcome to the complete build guide to this AMD system here. It's my own personal system. What is this system for? It's not a gaming PC, although it kind of can be used for gaming. It's primarily for video editing. And I'm gonna talk about the parts. I'm gonna build the system as complete as I possibly can. I'm gonna talk about everything about this system and, like, you know, how to put everything together and show you in the clearest way possible. You can apply this to this generation technology, last generation technology, the next generation parts. It's probably gonna work for the next generation, whatever the one after this one is. But nonetheless, this is my own personal system, and I bought all these parts at very different times, at wrong times. Typically, you want to build everything, or you want to buy everything when you have all the money and you're ready to build and you're done and you're ready to go. That's when you buy stuff. Don't do like me and buy things all separately prices change a lot, but nonetheless, here we are. I'm going to talk about what my parts are here, starting with the motherboard, which is the Asus Tough Gaming X570 Plus motherboard. And this was $180, $190 around there. I don't know what the prices are now, but this is what I paid for it last year. Yes, that's right. I've had a lot of this stuff since last year. Now, the X570, the motherboard that, or the chip series that came out after this, but is like a tier lower, is the B550. And so that's also a good motherboard. You're gonna have to watch a lot of reviews as to what's the best out there. I know that the Gigabyte Aorus, those series are pretty good, mainly because of the PCB and the traces and the MOSFETs and VRMs and all that are really good in the B550 series. I think it's the Aorus Elite or something like that. If you want to get a B550 motherboards. So this particular one here, you know, it's good for me. I like the Tough series motherboards. So going into it, CPU wise, is this Ryzen 7 5800X, which I paid for it $450 when it first came out. I know. Right now you can get it for $400. Maybe it'll go up, maybe it'll go down. But at Micro Center, actually, where I bought this particular one, I went all the way out there to Micro Center. They sell it now for $380, and I got it for $450. And look at this. I'm not even, it's brand new still. I could have went there this weekend and got me this 5800X for $380. Look, I know, all right? I know. This is why, don't do what I did. You need to buy when you're ready to build and you got everything. Don't hold off, right? I pulled the trigger because I was like, it was sold out at the time last year. It was hard to get. I was like, oh my God, one came in stock. I gotta get it now. So don't do what I did. Just when you have the money and you're ready to build, buy it all at one time, okay? The RAM. Now this one actually is still a good deal when I bought it. This is the Oloy 64 gig, right? 64 gig. It's two 32 gig sticks running at 3600 megahertz. And I paid, I want to say, less than $250. I don't know what the prices are now. I don't remember what I paid on this, but I want to say it's probably like around less than 250 bucks. It's probably, you know, $400 now or something. I don't know. But yeah, I need 64 gigs for, you know, video editing, After Effects. It takes up a lot of memory, these programs, and then it's also fast memory. It's 3600 megahertz, CAS latency 18, right? So that's that, and who knows, I may get another pair of these to make 128, right? But for now, 64 gigs is fine. And then storage wise, nothing too special. I mean, it is a bit of a premium with the Samsung, but this ain't the 980 Pro. This is just the SSD 980, 1 terabyte, and it was 120 bucks. I think there was like a sale of like 5% off or something. But $120 is what you can expect. It's reliable. You know, there are certainly faster memory chips or faster storage devices out here. This is just Gen 3 still. But, you know, the parts are consistent and you know what you're going to get. And it's, you know, good quality stuff here. It's 5-year warranty on that as well. So that's my main boot drive, 1 terabyte. I'm probably going to install it on this right here instead of this metal heatsink. I think it should be closer to the CPU for, you know, faster data transfer. It has to travel less distance from here. Anyways, I'll get to that in a little bit. All right. So cooling the CPU is this Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro 4, right? Pretty heavy duty. I think it's like around 90 bucks for that CPU cooler there. Moving on to the power supply. This is Overkill. It's a Corsair AX 1200. I inherited this from some friends of mine who did a lot of mining back in the day, and they don't do that anymore. And then these, you know, just ran for days on end. And so I just inherited, you know, didn't cost me anything. But these have 10-year warranties, and they should have about like 2 or 3 years left on them. So it's a pretty good, you know, I think it'll last. I think it'll be fine. 1200 watts, that's way more power than I need. I could have done with like an 800 watt, and I'd be fine with what I have here and future upgrades and whatnot. 800, 850 watts is plenty fine for that. But hey, you know, can't beat free. So I lucked out on that. And then the GPU here is the EVGA GTX 1080. I know it's old. I can't get my hands on a 3000 series card, not easily. Honestly, I haven't even really tried. Cause like I want a 3070, but I want it for $500 when it first came out. And I tried getting it for $500, but now, even if a retail store had one and it wasn't price gouging it, it would be like probably $700, I think. Yeah, $699 maybe. I mean, that's 3080 launch price territory. But because there's like shortages, tariffs, and all that stuff, everything went up. And that's if you can get one at retail price. So, you know, I may never be able to get a 3070 at, I may not be able to get a 3070 ever at $500. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So this 1080 is going to have to hold me over. And I'm not even really going to use this 1080 in here. I'm probably going to use a some stock reference 1060 to go in here. Again, this is for video editing. And, yeah. I want to actually sell this since it's kind of hot on the market right now, on the used market right now. I can sell this for almost what I paid for it. Back in the day, I got this at $600. I could probably sell it for $500, maybe $550 after shipping and fees. I make $500. This also has the thermal pad mod on there for added cooling, which is good. And I'm only going to install this on here right now because I'm going to test it out, run it before I sell it, just so that I could show that it's running in really good condition. All right. So, that's pretty much it for the parts of the case. I'm going to get to the case. It's a Fantex P500A. I can't really show you that right now because I got all this junk on the table. So I'll get to that in a little bit, on showing you what the case looks like. Nothing too fancy with anything here. Let me fix my filter on my chroma key thing here. I don't know why it's bugging out on me now. And oh. Okay, maybe that. No. I don't know why. Oh, maybe it's the webcam's autofocus or auto coloring thing that's messing with it. Anywho, whoa, did my stream stop? Did my stream freeze? Uh-oh. I guess while I was editing the camera, it froze up. All right. So let's get down to business and start building things. Welcome to the cruel, cruel tutelage of the geek. You guys ready? Hey, look at that. We have people watching. Oh my god. Micro Center is pretty decent pricing. Yes. Yeah. Pricing is relevant to Europe. Weird how it doesn't seem like we get solid graphics card retailers, yet we produce tons of semiconductors. Yeah, you know, that's a whole nother topic. Who knows, this global shortage, global whatever is going on with technologies. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is install the CPU. Wow, this box is so light because there's no CPU fan in it. And you know what? At Micro Center, I think they didn't show this on the website, but I think they have 5900s. Man, that's what I really wanted. I really wanted the 5900s. A 5900 CPU. Okay, so. Sorry. Let's get to enhance. Enhance. Alright, so this is the CPU socket. You're going to lift the little arm here. And then on the CPU socket itself, in this corner right here, you're going to see a little arrow. And you're going to take the CPU out. And you're going to hold it on its side. Be very careful to not drop this, because you don't want to bend any of these pins here. And try not to touch this part. I mean, if you have to, you know, we're going to wipe it down with some alcohol. You don't want to get your oily fingerprints on there and whatnot. So you're going to hold this over, and on the corner here, you can barely see it. I don't know why they made it. You know, they used to make the arrow on the CPUs this size on this side. Now it's just a tiny little dot. But anyways, you match that up with the arrow on the CPU socket here. So we're going to just lightly, ever so lightly, drop that CPU down into the socket. Shouldn't require any force. Should be nice and flat. And then you're going to close the lever there. And I'm going to lower my music because it's kind of distracting to me. Okay. Yeah. Micro Center had the 5900X and the 5950X at MSRP. Man, that's the one I really wanted, was a at least a 5900X. But what are you gonna do? Too late now. For me anyways. Okay, we got the CPU in there. Now, I don't know if I really want to do the CPU cooler. This thing is a beast. And I don't remember how to install this thing. But I guess now would be... Alright, you know what I'll do? I guess I'll do the RAM and then the CPU cooler. If I do the CPU cooler, I'd have to... Well, either way, I'd have to take the fans off of there. So yeah, maybe I'll just do the RAM next. So for the RAM here, take this out. Ugh. Come on, you. Right. So if we look at the RAM slots here, you're gonna look for somewhere on it that has like a guide like this. And you have A2, A1, B2, B1, and that corresponds with each of these slots here. Just like how you see it there, that's how all these slots are. And if you notice, on here, there's a little asterisk on A2 and B2. They want you to install chips onto these two slots first, right? This one and this one, the gray ones. If you have 4 chips, obviously you just fill them all, it doesn't matter. But if you only have 2, that little asterisk there, some motherboards will have like a little bracket, it'll say first or install first. So you're gonna line up this little slit right here with the notch on the motherboard in the RAM slot. It's offset a little bit so that you can't plug it in the wrong way. So you're gonna flip this little switch out, and then you're just gonna slide it into the guide carefully. Whoa, whoa. Right? And then you're gonna want to push straight down, and preferably on both sides, on both ends like this. Right? Don't bend it this way or that way. There's this TikTok video of a kid doing that. He's installing his RAM, and he went in at an angle, and he snapped the RAM slot. I don't know if he also broke the RAM, but it's hilarious. All right, so we'll flip this out again, insert it into the slot there, push down on a little bit, and then it's gonna snap into place, and that's it. That's your RAM. On to the CPU cooler, which comes with this all your trinkets and doodads. These are some fan brackets there. Let me see if I need a... I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna position this. Wait. Huh. Oh, I guess I could go this way. Yes. I guess I can clamp that in. No, wait, no, I can't clamp it in now, because I need the screwdriver. Yes. I need the long screwdriver, which it comes with right here to go down and tighten things. So the fan, this secondary fan, is going to go on last, I guess. And I guess I could leave this fan on there. Right. Let's prepare the motherboard by taking off this bracket. For this particular cooler, we got to take this bracket off. Some coolers still need this bracket if it's like an old style AM3. That's why this bracket is on here. Now when you take off this bracket, the back plate here has nothing to hold on to. I'll show you what I mean by that. See? Back plate fell off. That goes there. And hopefully I can screw in the bracket. So that's the reason why I'm doing all this whole build outside of the case on the motherboard. I've seen some people just put the motherboard straight in first thing and install the CPU and the RAM, and you know, you just kind of want more room as much room as you possibly can to do things. So try to build everything on the outside first, less installing the GPU, that's obviously last. But if you can, RAM, CPU cooler, even SSD, outside on the box here, if you don't have a good table. So let's look for the bracket. Whoa, a lot of conversations going on here. Sorry if I don't keep up. But looks like we're talking about pricing and CPUs. All right. So we have this bracket here that we need. This is the crossbar. Comes with an Intel hardware here, which we don't need, obviously, but I do appreciate them labeling everything very nicely. And here are these brackets that are probably presumably going here, but this needs to sit on some risers. It's been so long since I've built with this cooler on this platform. I don't remember what is what here. Ah, okay. So these little plastic pieces here, one hole is bigger than the other. It goes onto the bracket, right? Then there's these washers. I'm guessing they go on to the screw here. Yeah. Then this little bracket here is gonna go like that. Yeah, same here, man. Everything in my house is all AMD. It's just more bang for the buck. Right, so this bracket here has AMD arrows on it, so I'm going to use that. I don't know why would there be... Oh, sorry, it says AM4, duh. Which is kind of what you need to know, which is what this motherboard is. AM4. So they go on like that, and the screw is going to go in right there. Times 4. Let's see if I could put this in. 1, 2, solid. Very easy system here. Whoops. Okay. Don't need to be too tight. Just tight enough so it doesn't move. All right. And then we have these 2 screws right here. This is going to go here. Oh, let me zoom out a little. All right. And this bar is going to go across here with the ridges facing down. It should just fall into place right there, right? It shouldn't actually move around because of those grooves, those ridges. Just gotta slot into there. Don't worry, I'm gonna remove the little plastic thing in a little bit. I'm just doing a test to make sure everything lines up. It does. All right. So I'll set that aside. There. Everything's lining up good. I'm actually going to remove these little caps for the screwdriver to go down into. Now we're going to prep the CPU with a little bit of alcohol. Where's my alcohol? Here's my drink. That's not the alcohol. Oh, here it is. Okay. I use isopropyl 99.9% specifically for electronics. You could use, you can get rubbing alcohol like 91%. I suggest that. You could even use 70%, but I don't really trust that too much. Not for like super sensitive stuff. For like wiping down a surface here that like isn't really electronic, electricity doesn't really pass through here, I'm okay with that. I wouldn't be wiping down 71%. I wouldn't be wiping down these chips right here, all this or anything like that with 70%. All right. Very important. I've seen some famous YouTubers forget to peel this off. You gotta peel that off there. And I'll probably just hit it with a little bit of alcohol there. And this is a coffee filter. Cheap, lint-free. It's very good. Set this down. Then, we're gonna apply some thermal paste. This thing came with thermal paste, but I'm not gonna use that. I am actually going to use this Arctic Silver MX4. And I am a purist. And I'm going to use, where is my applicator? Oh, here it is. Let me use this applicator, also made by Arctic, to do the spread method. Yes, that's right. You can argue with me all you want about the dot is just as good, and it's true. Dot, line, X, whatever. They're all just fine. But to be sure that you get the best out of it, I like to spread it. Even though there's not really any difference between any. If you want to be lazy and just use the dot method and just mash it in there, fine. But this doesn't hurt it, as most people will say. There's air bubbles. No, man, air bubbles will get out. You're not creating a airtight seal when you put this on there. And even if there was air bubbles, who's to say that it's the rest of the area doesn't make good contact still? All right. So that's that. Try not to get this stuff on your hands. It makes a mess. Right. Thermal paste added. Now we're putting the CPU cooler on there. The fan is on the RAM side. This is the front of the system. This is the back of the system. You want the fan to be going that way, right? Cool air, and I'll point this out when I get it in the case. Cool air is going in, hot air coming out. The only other way that you could possibly put this would be like this, where cool air from the bottom goes in and exhausts straight out the top. There's very rare occasions you would have to do that, but there's some occasions where you do that, right? There's some, depending on the case. There's a lot of different scenarios here, but it's kind of the only two school of thought here. It's this way, right? And since this is already installed, you could tell the direction of the airflow is going this way by the bracket, or the little brace there, and the motor is on the back side. Air always goes in through this open faced area and comes out of that bracket side, right? It's always like that. Also, many times the fans come with arrows. You can see right there. That arrow indicates airflow going this way, and that the blades spin this way, like so. But I've noticed that not all fans have that. All right, so I'm gonna take my bracket here, kind of preload it, and I'm just gonna lower it down. Get that on there. And then, I don't know if this camera here can see this. Oh. There you have it. Let's try to get that angle in there. So now, oh shoot, try to get this. I hope y'all can see that. Okay, so I'm lightly, well actually I think I've turned that too much. Just gonna thread that in there a little bit. And hopefully you could still see the other end of this. Right. So I tighten that all the way down. Now I'm tightening this all the way down. And that's it. It basically goes, it turns until you can't turn it anymore. When it stops turning, that's enough. You don't need to over crank it too much. All right. So that is installed. Now we're gonna install this, what is it, 140 millimeter? I don't know what, I guess is 140, and the front is 120. We got to position this cable here, and you know what, it's honestly long enough to go in this way, I think. Whoops. Take these brackets here. I believe all of these brackets, no, not all of these brackets are the same size. So it looks like there's two shorts, two longs. I'm guessing that the long one is going to go on here. Wrap, oh wait, no. Huh. I don't know what the long ones are for. Let's try the short ones here. Yeah, this short one goes in there. See if you could see that. No, you can't. Great. Great. Let me raise this. Hooks into there like that. See the other side. Okay. Where? Let me just humor me for a second. Where would this long one go? Could it wrap all the way to the back? I'm guessing this is for another 120 millimeter fan. Yeah. I'm using the two short ones here. Just gonna... Ow. Oh, whoa, Jesus. Yeah, okay, I did that right. I'm guessing that, because you know, you could put another fan on here. That it'll go right here. Let's see. That's how this is. Yeah, I think so. Oh, well, no. It's still gonna be... I don't know, man. I don't know why these are, like, long. I feel like... I don't know if they would actually go right here. But whatever. Whatever. It's done. The fans that I have on there is... How much total did this build cost you, honestly? Well, here's the thing, because I'm using new and old stuff, right? 180 for the motherboard, 450 for the CPU. I know. 90 for the... honestly, I want to say at least 1,000. 1,500 maybe, because see, I'm using a 1080 GPU. Like, I can't really factor that in price right now. I paid $600 when it first came out, but like, you know, if I had gotten my way and gotten a 3070, then sure. Anyways, we'll try to price things out in a little bit afterwards. Okay, so motherboard complete. Now, what I'm going to show you is all the connections that you need to make on this motherboard. You wouldn't be doing this at this stage of the installation process. I'm only going to show this because it's just easier to show you while the motherboard is outside of the case, because it's really hard for you to see what I'm doing when the motherboard is in the case. You can't see my hand, you can't see anything, what I'm doing. So I'm going to show you outside of this, and then as we go on inside of the case, that's when I'll tell you this is when you're doing, you know, when I showed you what I'm about to show you now. Again, you don't do this step right now. This is just for demonstration purposes. So starting with the power connections, there's only two ways the motherboard is going to take power. Is through the ATX connector here, 24-pin ATX connector, and this CPU connector, the EPS power. This motherboard has a an 8 and a 4-pin. Some motherboards have two 8-pins, really powerful motherboards, but this one happens to have 8 and a 4-pin. And a lot of times, oftentimes, you don't need the extra 4-pin. It will work, but if you have like a very powerful CPU, like a 5950X, and you want to overclock the snot out of that, you're gonna want to also add in the 4-pin here, right? But not all power supplies have two 4-pins, so you might be in a little bit of a pickle there, and I'll explain, I guess, what your options are for that. But yeah, this is for the CPU power. So your system won't boot if you don't have these two in there. Nothing else from the power supply should really go into the motherboard, other than like some motherboards have like a 4-pin Molex connector to provide extra power to the PCI slots, but that's not really modern anymore. People don't really use, motherboards don't really have that anymore. That was back in the day, you know, with mining motherboards and whatnot. But anywho, that's all the power. Don't plug power stuff from the power supply into anything else here. I've seen somebody actually plug something from the power supply into the motherboard, like one of these connectors down here. And all of these things, everything here is really things going out. If anything, there's power going out of the motherboard. And these are the ins, right? So on the power supply, you're gonna have a couple of things here. A couple type of connectors. Let me get these. So the first thing is this 24 pin, and it's called a 24 pin because there's 20 pins on one half and then 4 pins on the other. And this actually might change in the very near future, perhaps maybe even with the next motherboard iterations. We might not have this method anymore. Might be a lot less. Anywho, just make sure it's all together. And on the clip here, you're gonna notice there's like a little latch, right? A little hook. And then on the motherboard, there's gonna be a little hook as well, right? And then you're gonna plug straight down into it, and you really can't, you know, do it the wrong way. You can't really plug it in accidentally this way. It just, the shapes of the holes here, it's like some of it are domes, some of it are squares, and it matches with the connector. So you're gonna go straight in, right? Let's see if I can show this. You go straight down, and then you're gonna do your best to push down on here. Now, your motherboard's going to be on standoffs, so it might flex. So you're going to need to get your fingers somehow underneath the motherboard to kind of brace it. And you're going to need to plug or push as hard as you can until it clicks into place, right? And that's how you plug in the ATX on the motherboard. Now the CPU, what you're gonna do here is same thing. There's a little latch on this EPS connector, and then this is the this is the CPU connector here. It's 2 4 pins, right? Don't get it connected, or don't get it confused with this 8-pin PCI Express. This is for graphics card, right? Don't plug this in there. In fact, I don't even think you can accidentally plug. Can you accidentally? Oh yeah, it does fit. Oh no, but the other, I do this in the name of science. Oh yeah, thank God you can't. But you could probably, oh no, you can't. All right, you can't plug the PCI Express into there. Thank God they thought of that. You don't accidentally plug in the wrong thing. But there's, this one happens to be labeled CPU, same thing. Push down and it's gonna latch and it's gonna click in, right? Then if your motherboard is like mine and you have 2 connectors, an 8-pin and a 4-pin, these split in half. So you can pull them apart. And you're gonna do the same thing. Right? Go down in there. You're gonna need to push that in and make this connection right there. That's how they connect into it. Right, I'm gonna unplug this. My power supply happens to be fully modular. Yours might not be. Fully modular meaning all the cables come detached from the power supply. This is the power supply here. See that? One end goes to the motherboard, the other end goes into here. Oh yeah, since I'm here, once we're done with this, plug all this back in to here, like so. Let's get this unplugged. Now what I'd like to show you are the front panel connectors, USB, all that jazz from the motherboard. I mean, from the case. So what's the best way for me to show you that? I have to get the case up onto the table here. Okay. Let's open this up. Take this front panel off. Super easy. I love it. I'm also going to take the back panel off. Ooh, very nice, very nice. Gotta hand it to Atx, man. They make things neat and orderly. Front panel connectors are located here. Yes. And I will just route this out temporarily. Looks like we also have a, does my motherboard support that? No, my motherboard doesn't. Would have really liked to have shown you that, but it's okay. Let's put this back. I love these hooks, man. Cable management back here, man. Okay, switch back to this angle here. Hopefully I got enough room to show you. I'll do the easy stuff first. I will do the, what is this? Oh, that's a fan connector. Where is the USB stuff? Fan connector? Huh. Oh, I guess that's it. I don't have front panel audio? I do. Where's my front panel audio then? Am I missing something here? Huh. Unless my front panel audio all right. Oh, here it is. Hiding on me. All right. Okay. The most difficult part of the whole build here, these connectors. Start with the easy ones. The front panel audio. Typically on motherboards, front panel audios, if you're looking at it from like, you know, the top down here, it's on the bottom left-hand corner. And it's slotted in such a way to where there's a blank filled in one of the holes here, and then on the connector itself there's a missing pin, right? It corresponds with it right there. And let me see if I can probably zoom in more. Yeah, it's good enough, right? You guys can see that there. And you just line it up and you just plug it straight down into the motherboard, and that's it. There's your front panel audio, right? Again, you don't want to do this outside of the case, obviously. I'm only showing this for demonstration purposes. Next is USB 3, and that's typically in the middle somewhere of the motherboard. They do sometimes also have them at the bottom down here. This is where your USB 2.0 connectors are. Sometimes they have the USB 3.0 connectors somewhere around here. Sometimes there's two. There's one down here somewhere, and then there's one up here, right? Sometimes they have that. And so with this, there's a key here. It is a little plastic nub that sticks out there, and then on the motherboard itself, there's a little notch that's missing there, right? And that's the key to line it up. And you're gonna want to press straight down on it. Don't go in at an angle. Press straight down on it, and you gotta kind of just maybe even wiggle it a little, kind of ease it in there first. Make sure that all the holes, there's tiny little pins in there, and if it's like crooked a little bit, it won't line up, and then as you press down on it, you're going to bend it out of the way, right? And that's how you plug that in there. Now, pulling it out sometimes, man, I don't know why they do this, but it is really hard to pull this out. And I've seen people pull the whole housing, the plastic housing out. This plastic piece, whole thing came out. Came out on me one time. It was just stuck on here. So you got to be really careful with that. Okay. Now, with the front panel connectors. On here, they're typically on the motherboard. It's on the bottom right-hand corner if you're looking at it from the top. This, also one of the hardest things to do. Luckily, most modern motherboards have a guide on there, and it will tell you. Let's see if I can zoom in as much as possible on here. You can kind of see it. It says HDD LED, that's the hard drive LED, power LED on the top there above it. Over to the right, power switch, PWR_SW, that's power switch. Underneath is reset, and then there's a speaker and a power LED, right? Then these are the corresponding cables. See that power LED, power switch, and reset. This doesn't have a hard drive LED, apparently, which is okay. Some cases will have everything, some cases won't have everything. You don't need to have everything. You really, the most important ones are power switch or reset. Some cases don't even have a reset button, so don't worry. If you can't find it, it's because it doesn't come with it. So next to the power LED, there's a plus on the power part, and the LED has a negative. So let's look at the power LEDs here. This one happens to have them clearly labeled, a negative and a plus, and you just plug them in correspondingly. Positive to positive and negative to negative. Right on the top there, you're going to go straight down. Don't go at an angle. Don't break those pins. And then reset switch. Actually, let's do the power switch, which is next to it on here. Typically, this doesn't really matter, positive or negative, because it's just a short. But the switches here, if you look, there's a little arrow that indicates the positive terminal. But for that, it doesn't really matter. It's just a toggle. It's just a short. Power LED, I'm assuming because there's constant power going through it, and it's not a short. So that's why there needs to be the positive and negative. Same thing with the reset switch. It's a toggle. but there's the arrow that indicates a positive. And then the reset switch is underneath the power switch, so that goes on the 2 pins there. That's it. They all should be like 2 pins, right? So that's what it looks like there. And that's it for those connectors. Now, fan connectors. This is a fan connector, and this is a 4-pin PWM. Some of them are 3-pin. Most motherboards are probably going to have a 4-pin, like this right here. It's chassis fan, and you know, you just have to route your cables however it's going to go. Like this, most likely this one is down at the bottom, and it's going to be plugged into this bottom one here. And there's a little plastic guide here, and a little plastic, or there's a channel, and this is the guide. And you just line it up and you plug straight down into it, like so. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to install the SSD on here. Anyways, we'll get to that in a second. Next I can show you is a SATA connector, which on this motherboard there's 2 locations. There's 4 here, and then there's 4 more right here, right there, right? So I'll show you how to do that real quick. Your motherboard should come with these SATA cables. Just take this out. It doesn't matter what side of the cable you want to plug in. However, one of the cables are typically a right angle. That's usually for your drive. That goes on the drive, the actual, like a hard drive or something, or an SSD. But the other end here has a little clip, and you just plug it straight in. It's slotted to where there's this like L shape there, and then there's like an L shape on the cable itself, and you just plug it in until it clicks in. Right, there's also a little lever here. Press, take out. Same thing goes for these slots here. You just have to line it up like so. All right, and that's if you're installing SATA drives. All right, well, since we're here, that's it for like showing you the connectors and how to connect everything, and we'll get to each one shortly as soon as I show you how to install the SSD on here. That's a little too zoomed in. I'm actually going to install the SSD. Oh shoot, I'm gonna mess things up by installing this stupid thing right here already. But we'll see. We'll take this SSD out. One terabyte Samsung. It's my main boot. I got a bunch of SATA SSDs as my scratch disks. That's in another system right now. I'll have to get that later. But here it is, SSD Samsung, and there is a slot here. Just like the RAM, there's a little slit, and then there's a little notch, and you're gonna line that up. You're gonna plug that in there. But first, I need to actually put a standoff, and I believe that standoff goes to here at the 2280 mark. And so the motherboard here comes with these screws. Honestly, I wish they came with the screws and standoffs just already plugged in. And I need a tiny screwdriver. Like this here from my iFixit kit. So we're going to screw this standoff here at the 2280 Whoops. Remember the Chromebook videos you did years ago? And I watched you when I was like 18-year-olds. Now I'm 24. And I aged quite a bit. It's the wrinkles, right? You know what? I don't know if it's... Yeah, I did age, obviously, in years. Look-wise, though, I think it's because I gained some weight. Which I don't think is a bad thing. I've been wanting to gain weight my whole life. I've been a skinny little pipsqueak my whole life. Now I'm just a thicker pipsqueak. All right. Now you're going to go in at an angle on this. Line this up with the little notch and you're going to push in so you can't see them gold connectors anymore. Then you're going to push down and you're going to take the screw and screw that bad boy in. Actually, yeah. Take this tiny little screw here. Right? Now, I'm going to take this heatsink thing. I don't know why they put this very useful heatsink here down at the bottom. It's almost like they're kind of wanting you to install it there. Wait, what? M.2 socket 3. This is the third? Wait, if this is 1, where's... I don't get it. And I don't have that USB-C 3.1. Yeah. I don't know why they would, Oh, no, I can't put this fancy heatsink on here. They don't have the standoffs. You have to put it on here. Why would they do that? Like, you typically want your fastest, even maybe 4.0, I mean Gen 4 SSD, you would kind of want it close to the CPU because of the traces. The distance it needs to travel is closer to the CPU. So like you'd have your hottest, fastest drive in there. And then you would want that to be like, you know, have a heatsink on it. So I might maybe need to buy one of those fancy heat sinks to wrap this in and then plug it in. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, I forgot to show you how to install the two fans here. There's two fan connectors up at the top for the CPU, and I already showed you how to connect a fan, so you just plug those in. And again, see, you kind of want to do this on the outside of the case. If this was inside of the case and you need to plug those things in, man, that's really hard to see and do. So this right here, it says, focus. You have to trust me. It says CPU fan and then CPU optional, right? So that's good to plug them in there for that. All right, so we got everything there. Remind me to get a heatsink for that thing, and everything's ready. And I showed you how to connect things. We're ready to drop this bad boy in. Oh, this. the CPU came with this splitter here. If your motherboard didn't have two CPU connectors for fans like I do, you could plug both these fans right here into the splitter, and then this would go into your one connector, your one motherboard. That way you can control both fans equally at the same time. It's just easier that way. All right, so I'm gonna set this aside. Let me actually, you know what? I'm going to install, I should have done this. I'm going to put the standoff oh, it's already, what? Oh no, 2280. Put that right here. Because I'll eventually populate this, probably with a SATA M.2, or whichever's cheaper, whatever I could find that's like a terabyte or a 2 terabyte to use as a scratch disk for editing. And then when you install it, just like how you do it on there, when you install it on there, you gotta peel off this plastic piece that's on the thermal pad there. Don't forget that, it's very important. What? No. So I think the more exciting piece of this whole build is really installing Windows and configuring everything. That's the part that I never really have shown. I've done builds, a lot of builds, build guides, videos and all that, but never really showed like what you do after you build it. Where can I put this? Put this right over here. Make some room. Okay. Let's get this case in. Let's prep the case by first installing the power supply and routing power supply cables. So I'm going to plug in all of the cables that I'll be using for this build. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing here. First, Atx motherboard, which goes in here. And, you know, they slotted it in such a way where you can't plug in the wrong things. But you do need to plug them in all the way. Make sure it clicks into place. Next, we're going to do the EPSs. That's for the CPU. These two. So, it's labeled. And where is it? PCI and the 4+4. Put those two in there. Whoops. Two are there. And now PCI Express power. I'm gonna do that at the bottom here. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do that closer to this end here. Yes. That's because these two are going to go up this way right? These two are going to be closer, and they're going to go up from the bottom of the case here. There's a little opening down at the bottom there, and I'll show you that. But that's generally how it's going to go. Oh, and then I'm going to need these peripherals, even though I don't have a SATA drive yet to install on here. I will. Those go right here. SATA and peripherals. I got a couple of 1 terabyte SATA drives. They're gonna go in there. And I don't need this extra one, but I'm just gonna plug it in there and just store it here because I don't want to lose it later. It's very important that you use all of these cables that came with this power supply. You don't want to take cables from another power supply and think, oh, you know, it fits, it's going to be the same. No, you could seriously damage. Just look at Greg Salazar. He effed up some things because he plugged in, he used different cables from another power supply, plugged it in, and wrecked his machine doing that. So he took down that video, but he had another video explaining what he did wrong. He took it down because he didn't want anybody else to watch it and accidentally do the same. All right. So this is gonna go in. Oh, this is a tight fit. Is this even gonna fit? Oh, this doesn't go in that way. It doesn't slide in this way. It actually goes in this way because there's this bracket here that you unscrew. 2 screws. Unscrew that. Feed all your cables in. Through here. This doesn't fit either. Oh wait, yeah it does. Okay. All right. Now, let's see this. All right, I gotta get the case screws here. Gotta love Atx, man. And their little box of things here. I guess. Right, so these screws here, it's very important. You use the right screws for this. These have like the top hats and they're coarse, they're thick, and the thread size there is coarse, it's not fine. And I'll show you what the importance is when we get to the motherboard. Most cases, you're screwing these 4 screws into the case. It's not very common to have this bracket that you screw on and then screw into the case. Typically, you slide your power supply in and then you screw these 4 screws straight into the case. But this is how they decided to do theirs. That's it. Power supply installed. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you want to make sure when you're installing it right, your fan is facing down here, not up, because there's no ventilation on top. It's not going to get any airflow to cool the capacitors. So air from the bottom, cool air goes from the bottom here and it comes out this way. And this filter here, you want to make sure that you keep this filter clean. Right? So that's that. Make sure this is flipped off. Circle means off, line means on. And then now we can go ahead and go back to routing our cables We want to do as much of this as we can so that when you put the motherboard in, you don't need to undo anything. And oh man, this is a big case. It's going to be tough to get all this. So here's your two CPU connectors. You need to get that either up in here. Yeah. These two up in here. Probably have gotten some extensions. Maybe I'm gonna go this way. Who knows? I'll figure that out once I get those in there. These are gonna be my SSDs. They're gonna go in here. I don't have them yet, but this is where you would install an SSD. Let me see if I can get. Here's an example of an SSD. Right? Screw that into there. This goes onto there like that. Pop that in. That's not the SSD I'll be using though. All right. Okay, so that's that. We can route. There's the EPS there. I get this out of the way. I'll eventually get it into these Velcro straps, but I just gotta make sure that everything's in the right spot. Oh. Cool. And connector. I think I'm gonna aim for like right here. No, right here-ish. For that ATX cable there. And then the maybe I should have used whatever. And then the two PCI Express, there's like a little door thing here. A little cover right here. Oh, it just slides out. I'm going to feed that. In through here. Like so. All right. For the most part, back of this looks horrendous, but that's okay. We'll do the front panels and all that other stuff later. I think it should be okay. All right. Time for a drink break. What the heck? Oh, I used the wrong screws. These are extra covers or hard drive thing. Oh no, these are hard drive cages. Never mind. Hey, I thought this was another box of screws. It's accessory. Yeah. These are hard drive. Regular 3.5-inch full size hard drives. They go like right here or something. I don't really have that. I'm not gonna be using that. Okay. So now I'm gonna drop the motherboard in, and before I do, I need the, where is it? Don't tell me I lost it already. Oh, here it is. The I/O shield. Man, most good, expensive, modern motherboards should already have this built into the motherboard, but mine doesn't apparently. So we're gonna do this old school. You basically gotta line this up. Oh, with that right there. See that? That goes in right here. And this is tricky. Gotta be careful. These edges on this shield thing here is sharp. It will cut you. I've lost much blood over these things. So you gotta press until it clicks in. And you gotta kind of press all over. And be careful, because when you press on one end, it might pop out the other end. Just press all of that in there. All right, now we're ready to drop in the motherboard. Just gonna pick it up by the CPU cooler. This is also another reason why this is really great. And you can lay this down. But before you drop this in there, right, you gotta look at the screw holes here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 screws there. And they correspond with these standoffs here. And it just so happens there's all 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And they're all relatively in the right places. On the case itself, there's like A, which means ATX. There's M, which is micro ATX. So it's all the possible sizes there. Luckily for me, I don't need to, but you may need to rearrange some of this to line up with the holes in your motherboard. It's very important that you use all the screws, all the standoffs that your motherboard has and needs, and that you don't have a standoff in the wrong place. Like, you don't want this to be right here. Or if there was an extra standoff and it was right here, but you don't have a hole there, you don't want the standoff touching the back of your motherboard. It will short things out. So make sure that you have the exact standoffs for your motherboard, and that they're in the exact spots, and that there's no other standoffs that's unnecessarily needed. And that you screw in you plug in every hole with every standoff with a screw, because you need those screws to ground your motherboard. All right, so you're gonna go in. I happen to have a lot of space in this case, and I'm just going almost like straight down and in. Some cases are tight, and you gotta kind of go at an angle, and go at a little bit of an angle, and you gotta line up all of your I/O there. You gotta line everything up, right? And kind of go at an angle, make sure. I know it sounds scary, or you probably didn't hear that, but it was like a scratchy sound. Don't be afraid. And that's it. Like, that's everything there. Just make sure that your cables aren't, you know, behind your motherboard, like underneath your motherboard, right? Yeah, that was a pretty easy fit there. This case is awesome. It's huge. It's huge. All right. Now we're going to screw in the motherboard, and for those screws, here's where it's very important to know. Come on, focus. You want these fine screws, not the coarse screws, right? And they're typically the ones with the top hats. You don't want these screws. See that? That's coarse. and that's fine. You do not want this coarse one in your motherboard standoffs. So we're gonna need to get our 9 fine screws, finely threaded screws there. Right? And you typically want a magnetic tip screwdriver. And then you're going to start screwing everything in. You don't want to screw it all down tightly because the motherboard might need to shift a little to line up properly. So just kind of get them started in there. Right, so there's the top 3. Here's the middle 3. Is this fake or real? Seems pretty real to me. I guess, are you asking if it's like a pre-recorded video? A premiere? Sorry, I don't, not really paying attention too much to chat so much. This is a very long video, so I feel like I could just talk for like an hour with chat. And people who might be watching this later for tutelage might be like, oh God, just build the computer already. I hope y'all could hear me. I've been doing all right. I don't really, I don't really stream. I don't really make videos on this YouTube thing anymore. I've just been busy. This is my own personal build, and it is an AMD X570 ASRock Tough Gaming motherboard. AMD 5800X. I wanted the 5900, but at the time they didn't have any. Now they do have them. And now this 5800X that I bought last year is cheaper, so I kind of overpaid back then. I mean, I paid regular price, but now you can get this damn CPU for like $370. I paid $450 for. Anywho, I already ranted about that earlier at the beginning of this video. Okay, we're going to plug in the CPU. And again, I showed you all how to do that earlier. And this is now the time for doing that. Plugging in the CPU there. Plugging in the CPU 8 pin there. That's all Gouda. Probably tuck that in or zip tie that later. Right now we're going to do the ATX power. Oh, the 4 pin came undone. Gotta get that back in there. Have I overclocked memory or CPU? I've done CPU, I've never really done memory. That's the one thing I don't really know too much about, especially on these new systems. I don't really overclock memory too much. I may do it on this one, but at 3600, I may try to go to 4000, and that might be an easy route. CPU though, I have done, and you just gotta look up how much voltage and the multiplier that you should go to. And that's a good start. to get a stable overclock. And there's a lot of people out there who who will say like, run your CPU at like 1.35 volts and multiplier, you can go all the way up to like 42, 45, 50, you know, whatever, 48, somewhere around there. That you multiply that by 100, or no, 1,000, and that's how much, that's how many gigahertz. So 48 is 4.8 gigahertz. And then there's like all core. So that's 4.8 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz on all the cores. And so yeah, it depends. I mean, there's a whole philosophy for overclocking. I want to get to that. I don't want to get into that right now, but now we're gonna do the the front panel connectors. In today's live stream, though, I will try to set up Windows on here and do some configurations in the BIOS for the memory. Kind of important because when these things run stock, it doesn't run at the CPU's rated speed. They tend to be a little lower. Okay. CPUs, the front panel connector, it's about right here. Oh, no, this is a fan connector. Front panel. Just gonna feed this through right here. Although we don't really need a whole lot of slack. I'll just pull that through right there. And then the USB 3 is like right here-ish. This fan connector. This isn't really the best cable management. I'm gonna need to spend like a good couple hours doing a proper cable management. Shoot. Okay. Yeah, that's enough. And then this front panel audio. Gonna go across here, down into the bottom here, like so. Shoot. Where can I plug this fan? Okay. Yeah, that's good. USB 3. There, plugged in. Front panel. Again, kind of already showed this. Reset switch. Down here. Oh. Here. Power switch. It's right here. And and front panel audio. Dozo. Pull on some of the slack. All right, I'm not gonna zip or Velcro these all yet because I don't know if I will be keeping everything where it's at. So, wow. I'm gonna move this fan. I don't really like this. I guess. On you. Looks kind of ugly there, but whatever. I'll show you what that looks like. Now, I know most people will tell you, oh, I should boot it before you put it in the case and plug all this stuff in. But I'm kind of lazy. Didn't want to do that. Besides, even if things didn't work, probably out of warranty because I've had all those parts for like a year maybe. Shoot. Okay. Oh, I should have switched to that angle to remove these two PCI Express expansion slots. All right, it's kind of the last thing to do here. And same thing with the RAM slot there, notch here, line it up, plug it in, listen for that very satisfying snap. That wasn't it. Oh yeah, that was it right there. You probably didn't hear it because I have a noise filter. So you might not even have been able to hear that power tool. Right, so this GPU only requires a single 8-pin with like all the other connectors. Right. Plug it in there, like so. Shouldn't have brought this out. I'm gonna hide this now, but I'm gonna keep it there in case someday I decide to upgrade, if I ever get my hands on a 3070 at a reasonable price. Stupid graphics card industry. Okay, now let me clean up as much as I can here. Now for the fun stuff, the stuff that I've never really been able to show and hope that my stream doesn't all of a sudden die, because I think I've done other streams where I got up to this point and my stream stopped working and I couldn't show you how to install Windows, how to download the drivers, how to configure things, right? But before I do that stuff, I'm going to show you first how to make a Windows USB installer. And for that, I need to switch over to this right here. Whoa. Oh no! My green screen! The illusion. I need to copy. Wait, can I? If I copy this. There we go. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to Google and we're gonna type in Windows Creation Tool. Download Windows 10. That's usually this first one. It has to be from Microsoft. Make sure you get everything from Microsoft. Wait. Oh. Duh. I just did a Google search for Windows 10 disk image there. You click on that. You're gonna download tool now. And then before you fire it up, we're gonna plug in a USB thumb drive. And typically you want something at least 16 gigs. I have a 32 gig one here. So we'll plug that in. The drive's already been created, but we're gonna do it again. Click on the file, the program you downloaded, and it's gonna say we're getting things ready. And while it's getting things ready, I am going to plug in the power and connect the video to the system that I just built. Oh, okay. We're gonna click on accept here. And then it's gonna get a few things ready again. So I'm plugging in the power, which I guess I could show you. Oh. Power cord goes in, flip this to on. Now my HDMI, or in your case, whatever your monitor is, I recommend DisplayPort if you have a high refresh rate monitor. So those are plugged in. That's ready to get fired up. Now, the program here is ready to get started. You're going to create a USB, create installation media, USB flash drive. Click on next. Use recommended settings for this PC, Windows 64-bit, that's great. And then we're going to do the USB flash drive. Needs to be at least 8 gigs. I have a 32 in there. And then this is your drives, your removable drives in here. If you have an external hard drive, unmount, unplug that thing. For the love of goodness, do not accidentally wipe out your external drives, right? I know that this drive is my USB drive on there, not just because it says USB. Yours might say something different. It's going to have a letter. It's going to have the name of your drive if your thumb drive was named. But to be on the safe side, it should only recognize external drives by, USB and stuff like that. But know what you're doing here, because this is going to wipe it out. Also, don't use a thumb drive, obviously, that has data on it, right? So yeah, use a drive that you're prepared to erase, and unplug your external drives. Don't do this with those plugged in. Click on next. It's now formatting and gonna wipe it out. It's gonna download and install it. We don't really have to sit here. It's gonna, depending on how fast your internet is how long this is gonna take. So it's downloading and formatting your drive right now and putting it on there, making your USB bootable drive. Right. Now I'm gonna go to back to here. And I'm gonna go, oh, I need to plug in my keyboard and mouse for this computer. Turn this on. And let's hope that something comes on the screen here. Hey, the fans are spinning and lights are on and it's turned on. Let me show you. Oh, you can't really see. Now, we're gonna press the delete key a few times. The first time ever that it's turning on, it might take a few minutes because it's gonna like boot, reboot, figure some things out before you see anything on the screen here. Hopefully I've got things plugged in, so we'll just wait. We'll give it a minute. One thing that does worry me is that my X570 motherboard might require a BIOS update. And that could be a thing. As to, you know, why nothing wants to come up on screen here. Because my CPU is a 5000 series, my motherboard may not be compatible yet with the 570 series. Although, even though 5000 series is compatible, it may not be compatible right out of the box, and I need to update my BIOS, which kind of feel like that's what it is right now. Oh, it's saying something about my RAM. Stuck on my RAM. There's a little LED indicator, and it says it's being held up by my RAM. So what I think I'll do then is, since nothing wants to come up on screen here, but let me test something. Let me see if oh man, I done messed up. Yeah, okay. So my switcher is working. So this graphics card, unless there's something wrong with my graphics card, that's a problem too, because I took this apart to do that thermal pad mod. But anywho, this is what I'm gonna do next. So I'm gonna turn this off, and I'm going to install a different RAM kit on here. See if that works. Oops. Man, always something. Always something. Let's see if I could just pop this out. Wow, Rob the Great. Thanks for Joining. Alright, let's take these 64 gig sticks out. Put in this G-Skill Trident 3000 megahertz CL15s. Okay. I'm gonna leave that fan out for now. I already have a fan right here, so let's see how this goes now. Hopefully I get something on the screen. If not, I may have to do, I don't know if this supports BIOS flashback, where you don't need a working CPU to be in there to flash the BIOS. But I can go look that up right quick. Powered on. Switch this to input 4. Let's fire this up. Some RGB RAM up in there. Huh. So the light for the DRAM is still lit. I don't know what that means. So what I'm going to do then, let's go to let's put this over here. Let's put this over here. Media creation tool is almost done. Let me switch to my desktop here and let's look up what is this? Asus Tough Gaming X570 drivers. What? 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 So I don't even know what. March 2021. Oh, let's go all the way back to 2020. New CPU support. I think I got this motherboard like in the summer of last year. And I don't think I have new CPU support, which is like started right here. But I feel like they would say, how far back would it be? Support for Ryzen 2000 series. I'm looking for one that says support for Ryzen 5000 series. 2019. This motherboard came out in 2019? It's ridiculous. All right. So, does this thing have BIOS flashback? Doesn't look like it. Looks like I'm not gonna be showing you. I'm cursed. I tell you, I'm cursed. Can't show you how to set this up. That might have to be another live stream. Because this is what's gonna have to happen. I gotta put another CPU in here. I don't even know if the only other AMD CPU I have is a 2700X. Let's see, Asus Tough Gaming X570 Plus BIOS flashback. B550. Looks like it has it. No. No. It's not compatible out of the box with 5000 series. I need to do the BIOS update, and I need a CPU that's compatible in there. Let's see. Compatible CPU with X570. I don't know if my 2700... Oh, oh yeah. Wait. $2700X. Yes. All right. So this is what I gotta do. I gotta swap the CPUs, update the BIOS. That's gonna have to be maybe tomorrow, maybe next weekend. I don't know. I kind of want to do something. I have the day off tomorrow. I kind of want to do something tomorrow. I don't want to be home. I might do it late night tomorrow Pacific time after 8 or 10 p.m. But that's it. But that's how you build everything. Minus the BIOS update that I should have looked up. Should have known myself. Should have done this beforehand. But I would have had to have taken apart another machine because my CPU... That CPU is in my gaming machine right now. Gotta take that apart. Maybe that's what I'll do tomorrow night. And then next weekend do the BIOS. It's good to kind of also show you how to do a BIOS update. And then install Windows and then configure it. This stream has been going on long enough. How long has this been, guys? 2 hours. This has been a 2-hour stream. But thank you all to have joined me. This ain't like I'm not coming back to make YouTube videos or anything anymore ever. This is just a one-time thing. I didn't even really want to live stream this, but I figured since I haven't done this in such a long time that you know, I'm just gonna do this. Like my personal rig here, I'm only gonna be building this once for the next few years. I don't plan on upgrading a whole lot or building a new system. Not really into building, systems for people. I did during the pandemic quite a bit, but that's it. I'm like kind of bored of building systems. But anyways, thanks for joining me And I will catch you guys on the next one, unless you guys have any questions. Or you could watch the next stream and ask me questions. But again, setting up, that's probably like a very complex and very detailed part. That's very important, as important as building the thing. I think building the computer is like the easiest part. It's configuring it afterwards for it to run and utilize everything to its full potential is more important, right? So yeah, I'm gonna end the stream here, guys. Again, thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Maybe.